6 guys, 3 sports, no leash. This is the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast. Football, hockey, and baseball, the way it's meant to be. Loud, raw, and completely unfiltered. This trending segment brought to you by Best Western Plus Arden Park Hotel, located at 552 Ontario Street, Stratford, located steps from the Festival Theatre, while offering first-class accommodations with an extensive range of services, including conference center, banquet facilities, and heated indoor pool.
All right, episode 9 of the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast. What another weekend of amazing sports to talk about. We got Ian Shank, Brian Hawley, and I'm Gary Ray. Thanks for tuning in to episode 9, folks. Welcome aboard. My goodness. Everyone got a good laugh last week when I said, look at these two good-looking guys. And Halser, you were looking left and right, so... That apparently went over well in the reels. People got a good chuckle out of that. So good stuff. Keep looking good, boys. But how was the weekend?
Very busy and very fast. Kids sports has taken over, and what a great weekend for all sports with the American Thanksgiving and good old college sports is at front and center again.
Yeah, you can't beat it. One thing I love about the American public is the passion they have for their sports, both college and professional. As we saw that with their American Thanksgiving on Thursday. I was over at Buddy's place. What we do is we watch all 3 games and play poker all day. It's a lot of fun. Potluck. Halser, what were you up to all weekend?
It was a good weekend. I saw a heck of a hockey game on Friday night in St. Mary's. Had to drive through a snowstorm to get there, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. And then Saturday was a great day. It was a day of Hoppa's herd, as I call them. All the grandbabies were in one spot. Had all 3 on my lap for the first time in their existence, and managed to get a photograph therein. And nice. Saturday was a great day, and then Sunday, I won $100 betting on football, and my Bills won. So, overall, pretty good weekend. I had to go back to work today just to get some rest.
It was a good photo of you, Halser.
Oh, thanks. It's pretty much them that makes it good. But, like I said, I got all 3 of them on my lap at the same time. So
that was a great picture. I saw that on Facebook. So
I really value those days. I hope I get 1,000 more of them.
Awesome. For sure. Good stuff. All right, well, let's get started with trending. Want to give a shout out to our good friends at the Arden Park Hotel, Greg and Andrea Hayter, super great people. If you're coming to town, make sure you check out the Arden Park Hotel, Stratford's premier hotel. All right, with trending, let's get started. My goodness, I have to eat a little bit of crow as my Michigan Wolverines could not overcome a powerhouse Ohio State team. They lost 27-9. We'll talk about that in End Zone and Fantasy. But, it was just very humbling. And then you even had Brutus in the snow spelling out Ohio there in the Michigan end zone and crossing out the M as they do at the campus and everywhere around Ohio State. The Leafs bouncing back from the dead, boys, winning 2 of their last 3s. They've got Matthew Nyes and Austin Matthews back. They won 7-2 Saturday night in Pittsburgh. I don't know if you guys caught that at all, but Hildeby stopped 31 of 33. They just took on Crosby and company, and they didn't look back. Did either one of you guys see that game?
No, I didn't. But it's usually with back-to-back games, with them losing in Washington on Friday, you don't expect a strong game on a back-to-back, but
yeah,
from what highlights I saw, Leafs look very good against a Pittsburgh team that's kind of trending downwards again.
Yeah, they got hot there at the beginning, but they're kind of falling where everybody thought they would be. I think you're going to see them trend downwards rather than stay neutral or upwards. But yeah, you're right, Schenker. They lost 4-2 in Washington. They kind of laid an egg there. Max Domi was a healthy scratch, which was interesting. I think that's a good way for Berube to just get him to shake him up and go, Max, like, we ended up giving you a lot of money to produce a heck of a lot more than you are. So Domi looked a lot better there Saturday night in Pittsburgh. And then the game that I thought really started turning everything around was the big win last Thursday night in Columbus, the 2-1 OT win. Woll was spectacular in net, stopped 35 of 36. And that's where you had Cowan. What a beautiful goal from a sharp angle, a nice feed from behind the net. But he just seems to be finding a spot with Tavares and Nylander. Like, what have you guys seen on highlights with those three?
I haven't really seen too much of it, but I'm glad he's staying up now. I remember a couple of weeks ago when they would send him down for a game, then bring him back up for a game. They're ruining his confidence, but now with him back up, they got to keep him up. He's too skilled to be playing in the AHL.
Yeah, I agree. I think with the goals that he's scoring, he's had a goal there in Columbus, and then he had another one in Pittsburgh on Saturday night. He ranks second in high danger chances on the Leafs behind John Tavares. And they just look good. Like the lines that they had up in Pittsburgh, you had Nyes with Matthews and Domi, and then you had Cowan with Tavares and Nylander. The other guy that I got to give him his due because I was knocking him there a couple weeks ago was Joshua and Roy. Those two guys really seemed to have a good game, especially Joshua. He was hitting guys. He even turned around and scored a goal there Saturday night in Pittsburgh. So finally, they're hopefully getting some usage like they thought they were going to when Treliving signed him. But yeah, Leafs are trending the way that we thought they would. Well, I guess you couldn't go anywhere but up when you're down in the basement in the East, but also sticking with Toronto sports. Halzer, I'll start with you. What are you hearing about the Jays' newest acquisition, the pitcher Dylan Cease, 29-year-old, being signed as a free agent out of San Diego?
Well, this has the potential to be just a fantastic move. I mean, people look at the total number. It's the largest contract in Jays history, but at $30 million a year, that's not, if you're looking for a guy to be potentially an ace, $30 million a year by the end of this contract is going to be cheap. And so the cool thing is that not only is he a guy who has led the league in strikeouts over the last 5 years, he's a guy that can improve. I mean, he needs to throw more strikes. 4 walks per 9 innings last year was the worst of his career, I believe. And that's the thing, is that he'll make 31 or 32 starts. He's very dependable. So you're going to have him every 5th day. But because he not only the walks are bad, but he also gets deeper into counts than he needs to. He's got overpowering stuff. He's got a 96, 97 kind of 4-seamer that just stays up on you. That's an exploding slider about 90 miles an hour and a 12-6 deuce that, he'll throw about maybe 6 or 8 of those in a game and just drop it on you when you're not expecting it. Get ahead curveballs. He's a great guy to watch. It's just when he struggles with control, fans remember what happened a little at the end there. And that's kind of a similar thing that happens to Cease on occasion, is that he just loses his zone. It's so frustrating. So, but the good news is Pete Walker is the guy you want to have a go at him over the next few years. It's a good contract, I think. Like it terminates around age 36. So it's not like they're paying him till he's 40 or something like that. And like I said, 30 million by then is probably going to be, number 4 starter money. So you've got Gosman as the number 1. Savage kind of slots into a number 2 if he holds up again in his sophomore year, which puts Cease in the number 3 spot. I mean, what more could you want out of a guy with that kind of potential in your 3 spot, and then still have Bieber to come up in the 4 spot, and Barrios, don't sleep on him. Last time he had a horrible year, he came back and had a good year. So if he comes back and has a decent year, he's a number 5 starter. He's got way too much stuff there. So it's a great contract, makes a totally set rotation. Don't forget about Bowden Francis and Eric Lauer in case they have any injuries during the season. They are a bat and an arm in the bullpen away from being ready to roll, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, Shanker, what do you know about Cease? Had you watched him at all? I know he's in the National League out west, but what did you know about Cease?
Well, if you can take away his years in San Diego, the Jays have a stud. When he was pitching for the White Sox, he was dominant on a shitty team. Like, Cease always threw those 6-7 innings for them, and they weren't good, and he got wins for them. He was the 2nd-ranked free agent pitcher behind Framber Valdez. And I was hoping the Jays would go after Ranger Suarez, but I think Philly's going to want to hang on to him. But, hey, the Jays have a good defense. The Padres didn't, and that's where I said to you about his ERA being inflated. And the Jays, if he can get the ground balls like he did in San Diego, the Jays aren't going to boot him, and they're going to get outs for him. Now, he's not the fastest pitcher for speed-wise, but he's a veteran, and I think he's going to fit in well with the Jays.
Well, talking about him, I think, Halser, you had mentioned about he's got a 96 fastball. I was looking at some highlights of him, and it's quite a weird release that he's got. Like, we talk about Yasavage coming way over the top, which is different. This guy, it almost looks like he doesn't extend his arm. It's kind of a weird motion, but you were telling me that that's good because it'll conserve his arm. Because since 2021, he struck out 1,106 batters, most in MLB. And like you were saying, though, Shanker, if you take away his San Diego numbers, last year he had an 8-12 record, 4.55 ERA. He did have 215 strikeouts, and he had a 1.33 WHIP, which is a little bit high. But looking good. MLB Network is saying Toronto's got the best starting rotation in all of MLB, and it's hard to disagree with that with the 5 guys that they've got, and that's losing Scherzer and Bassett. And, like you said, Halser, they've still got left-handed Lauer and Francis if something happens to the starting 5. So liking what we're seeing with them. But getting on to other trending news, who heard anything about Lane Kiffin leaving Ole Miss on the weekend and signing with LSU? I got to give a shout out. I've been researching it. Google Marty Smith from ESPN. That guy should win an ESPY for the way that he tracked down Kiffin before he boarded the plane to head to Baton Rouge. The guy is an absolute stud. He's got this awesome leisure suit. And Saturday night, they were talking to him on ESPN. He was saying that I've texted Lane. He hasn't responded. We hope to get an answer. And then he ended up tracking him down, like I said, at the airport right before he got on the plane. Like, I guess he went off-roading to get to where Kiffin was. And Kiffin even gave him kudos for off-roading to get to him. But shout out to Marty Smith from ESPN for breaking the one-on-one news about Kiffin before he got out. But
was he one of those fans that were giving the fingers and yelling obscenities to him as he boarded?
Yeah, there's a lot of upset fans at Ole Miss, but folks, Ole Miss shouldn't be surprised that Lane Kiffin bolted. If you look at his track record, USC poached him from Tennessee. He only coached for 1 year with the Volunteers, and then he bolted for USC, which was his alma mater. He had coached with them before, and then he ended up getting fired from USC. Wasn't off to the greatest start in his, I think, 3rd season. Then he surfaced with Alabama. Nick Saban took a flyer on him, and he was the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. But then he signed a head coaching job with Florida Atlantic, and Saban fired him saying that he had become a distraction. So he goes to Florida Atlantic. Well, then who poaches him from Florida Atlantic? Ole Miss. So Ole Miss should not be whining and complaining, because they knew exactly what they were getting when they went after Lane Kiffin. The guy is looking to go up the ladder. And when he was at USC, he thought that was his final stop place, like a Nick Saban. But unfortunately, he didn't have the results. But LSU was just going after the hottest guy that was available, or that they thought could become available. So I don't see how how Ole Miss can whine. You've got LSU, which is one of the top 5 destinations for 5-star recruits for college football. They've got deeper pockets. They've got a greater ability to attract top talent, especially defense, something that Ole Miss had trouble doing. And year in and year out, you're contending in the SEC and nationally. NIL demands, you're able to meet any demands that you need for that. I think the biggest thing, though, is that with Kiffin at Ole Miss, he had to use the transfer portal in order to field a good team. That was his bread and butter, because people usually don't grow up wanting to go to Ole Miss like they would like an Alabama or an LSU or a Michigan or Ohio. So Kiffin is now going to be able to just use the transfer portal to maybe round out his team. He's not going to have to go to the well like he did with Ole Miss. Now he can just kind of use the transfer portal to, like I said, round it out. He talked to 2 of his biggest mentors, Nick Saban and Pete Carroll. And I guess Pete Carroll said to him, he said to Marty Smith before he boarded the plane, he said, Pete Carroll said to him, "What would your dad tell you?" Your dad would tell you to go take your shot. And you got to respect that, right? Like he's just being honest. Ole Miss was doing what's best for them. They wanted an answer before the college playoffs, and Kiffin gave them their answer, unfortunately. But what have you heard about it, Halser? I'm sure you've watched a little bit of it.
Well, listen, getting past all of this, I got a question. How come there's no tampering rules in college football? I mean, could you imagine if that happened in the NFL, where coaches are reaching out to other teams about better jobs than they currently have with their team? I mean,
yeah,
they'd be gone. They'd be gone from the league. The fines, the draft picks, who knows? Because nobody's stupid enough to do it at that level. So college football, it just looks like a laughing stock when coaches can just up right in the middle of a season and just go, I'm talking to these guys. No, I can't be there for practice or whatever. I got a meeting with somebody better than you. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. How is a team able to reach out and talk to a potential coach while he's under contract with another team without first reaching out to the school to get permission? That's what would happen. You know, if you look at a similar story in the NFL, you know, I'm the Buffalo Bills and I'm looking at another team's offensive coordinator for my head coaching job. I have my owner call up their owner and say, I'd like to talk to this guy about that guy. Okay. So, and this has got to be a rule in college football, or this nonsense is going to go on ad infinitum.
Part of the problem is the timing of the transfer portal. The portal coincides with the beginning of the spring semester, and so teams need to know. Unfortunately, I agree 100% everything that you said, Halser. It's absolutely ridiculous when you look at it, you know, on paper. It's absolutely ridiculous, but when you delve into it a little bit more, Nick Saban said it best on the college pregame, where somebody with strong leadership needs to fix this, because you can't be blaming Lane Kiffin. This isn't a Lane Kiffin problem. It's an NCAA problem.
It's a systemic problem. Absolutely.
Exactly. And so, you know, people aren't even talking about the guy. I think it's Tulane, the guy that's signing with the Florida Gators. He's doing the exact same thing as Kiffin, but Kiffin's got the spotlight on him right now. So nobody's even talking about this guy that most people had never heard of before. But
and Michigan State.
What's that, Schenker?
Michigan State just got a coach too. I forget his name. He quit his team. It's always the end of November.
Of the timing with the transfer portal. Yeah. You can't wait until May to get a head coach, because the transfer, like, you've got winter workouts, you've got spring ball, like all of that prevents them from doing all of this in May, which is what you think, on paper at the end of the school year. It's hurting the players, because now the players have a decision to make. Do I decommit from Ole Miss and follow my coach to LSU? Like, it's just a messy situation. But enough about that.
Hey, I have one thing, Razor. It happens every year for college football.
Right.
As soon as that last week ends, kids start transferring to different schools, and every bowl season, you see the rankings fluctuate. But the thing is, with Ole Miss now, they might get bumped out of the top 12. I read that today, because they're not going to guarantee them a home game now, because they don't know who's all going to be there coming a few weeks. So
yeah. And the other thing is,
I feel bad for the Ole Miss fans.
And it doesn't happen frequently. I agree. It doesn't happen frequently, but guys have even stopped playing in bowl games before they go on to the pros and stuff. Like, it's messy, and I don't know what the answer is, but the last thing you want is to have your star player or one of your, valuable players to not play in a bowl game because they've got millions of dollars staring at them. And I forget his name, but there was a Notre Dame player that got severely injured and basically crucified his chance to sign a huge contract and go pro by playing in a bowl game. And it wasn't even for the Natty. It was just, like the Fiesta Bowl or something. Yeah. But just quickly, the 4 biggies league championships, the Big Ten, you got number 1 OSU with quarterback Julian Sayin, just lights out with OSU there on Saturday. He's playing against number 2 Indiana, Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback for Indiana Hoosiers. In the SEC, you got number 3 Georgia playing number 10 Alabama. The Big 12, you got number 5 Texas Tech taking on number 11 BYU. And a bit of a head scratcher, you got in the ACC Championship, you got number 16 Virginia playing against unranked Duke. And the reason they're not playing against Miami, I was looking into it. I guess Duke holds like the 5th tie break, something like 4th or 5th tie break against Miami. So that's why Miami didn't get into the ACC Championship game and unranked Duke did. But and then just quickly talking about the implications of these games, no one's even talking about the Big Ten, number 1 versus number 2 Indiana. I think it has huge implications, though, for the Heisman Trophy, because you've got the number 1, the favorite, Fernando Mendoza, who's just had a lights out year for Indiana. He's right now, according to DraftKings, the favorite at plus 125 to win the Heisman. But Julian Sayin, the quarterback for OSU, after Saturday's huge win, he's now narrowed the gap to plus 140 for Julian Sayin. Then you got Vanderbilt quarterback, 6th-year senior Diego Pavia. He's at plus 360. He's had an amazing year. 6th year. Holy, it's
you may as well go back for 7 and try it again.
Right? Unbelievable. And then rounding it out, the guy that I think is the unsung hero that has a chance, if they don't go, one of the 2 quarterbacks, Mendoza or Sayin, I think are going to get it. But if not, that running back from Notre Dame, Jeremiah Love, he's lights out. He's great to watch. He's plus 1,600 right now, so he's a absolute long shot. But that's what we got going on with trending. We will have a message from our sponsors with End Zone and Fantasy, and then we'll get into that.
End Zone and Fantasy, brought to you by TNT Security Inc.
All right, Todd Schmidt, another great guy out in Sebringville, owner of TNT Security Inc. for all your security needs. Shout out to Todd. All right, with End Zone and Fantasy, no need to introduce it. It was the game, but unfortunately, OSU took down Michigan 27-9 at the Big House. Michigan started up. They had a 6-0 lead. They had back-to-back field goals. Michigan's defense was holding OSU, but let's face it, it only was a matter of time before both of you guys were talking about OSU. It was just a matter of time as they beat Michigan in all three areas. What did you see, Halser?
Well, at the end of the day, it's that defense we talked about. I mean, once they got, but once they passed 15, you knew OSU was going to win the game.
Yeah.
In fairness to Michigan, this was a transitional year for them. I think they're very good for where they were expected to be preseason. I think they're doing as well as anybody expected. They're just not ready for the big time. And, OSU, so good. When the quarterback's playing like that on top of that defense, they're going to be tough to beat. So next weekend, I love Mendoza, and I know he's going to win the Heisman, or at least I believe. I don't have a vote or anything, but he's so poised, so calm back there. But can he do it again against that, which is just about 1 degree south of an NFL team? I don't know.
Yeah, they are 6.5-point underdogs in that Big Ten championship against Ohio State. Shanker, what did you see with the Michigan OSU game?
I could only watch the first half, but it's like Dave Portnoy said, men versus boys in the end. And Michigan came out flying. They came out strong, but those 2 field goals at the start, if they could have turned them into touchdowns, it could have made a difference. Yeah. But it's like I said before, it's like I said last week, payback's a bitch, and OSU had that in their back pocket. And at the end of the game, Ryan Day was trying to keep his team to the sidelines because Michigan was guarding that logo. But like you said earlier, Brutus already did the exclamation point for them in the end zone.
Yeah, I was disappointed with the play calling of head coach Sharon Moore. You've got Bryce Underwood that, you want to talk about poaching somebody. He had committed to LSU until Tom Brady, a former Michigan alumni, and the wife of Larry Ellison, the billionaire of Oracle, she's a Michigan alumni as well. The story goes that the two of them approached Underwood and said, hey, how much is LSU offering you? Rumors have it that Underwood, the freshman quarterback from Michigan, is getting $4 million in NIL money, which is unheard of for a freshman. The guy down in Miami, the 5th-year starter, he's making $5 million, but he's a senior. But so for a true freshman to be getting $4 million, he threw for 63 yards and 1 pick. And like a guy, especially when Sayan started slinging it, when Sayan, the turning point I thought was when Sayan threw that 35-yard TD to Jeremiah Smith on 4th and 5. That just turned everything there. And you had to take off the training wheels, I thought, on Underwood, but they didn't. The running backs were held to 100 yards. They had negative yards in the second half. That's OSU's defense stepping up. And I think Sharon Moore better be careful because he could be on the block as well. Michigan fans are not going to be patient for too long. It'll be interesting to see how Michigan gets off next year, but that'll be interesting.
They're saying the future's bright for Michigan. I was listening to a thing yesterday, and they said with Michigan, they have a lot of prospects coming up with the transfer portal, and Michigan's going to be a top 5 team, they said, next year.
Yeah. Like Halser said, they were in a transition year, and to even get to the conversation with OSU was a win in my eyes. But quickly, the rankings, the top 12 rankings for college football. Number 1, OSU obviously stays at number 1. Indiana, they beat Purdue 56-3 at Purdue. They remain number 2. Georgia moves up to number 3. They took down Georgia Tech 16-9. Oregon, they move up to number 4. They took down Washington 26-14. Texas Tech moves up to number 5. They move up 2 spots. They beat West Virginia 49-0. Ole Miss, they in the Egg Bowl, they beat Mississippi State 38-19. Number 7, Texas A&M, they moved down 4 spots as they lost 27-17 to Texas and Archie Manning. Number 8, Oklahoma, they are at number 8. They stay at number 8 with a 17-13 win over LSU. Number 9, Notre Dame, they stay at number 9 with a 49-20 win at Stanford. Number 10, Alabama, they stay at number 10 with a 27-20 win at Auburn in the Iron Bowl. Number 11, BYU, they win 41-21 versus UCF. And then number 12, Miami, they move up 1 spot as they are currently in the last playoff spot at 10-2 with a 38-7 commanding win at Pitt. Notables, you've got Vanderbilt that won 45-24 at Tennessee, but they moved down a notch. The committee looks at the strength of Miami's schedule as they're both at 10-2, as Miami getting the final spot and Vanderbilt at 13. And then number 14, Texas, I still don't see them getting in. They're at 9-3. They moved up 2 spots from 16 up to 14 to at least stay in the conversation as they took down number 3, Texas A&M 27-17 at home. So that's the college end zone in fantasy. Let's get into the NFL part of it. The Bills, huge statement game. Like, you don't know what you're getting from them. They lay an egg last week. And then this week they go into Pittsburgh. Now, they were playing a grandfather with Aaron Rodgers, but they win 26-7, where they've now got the Pittsburgh fans chanting "Fire Tomlin," which you've never heard before. So, Alzer, I'll start with you. What did you see with that big Bills win yesterday afternoon?
Well, they were missing, I believe, 8 starters from day one. Both offensive tackles were out. Spencer Brown. And,
Dawkins and Brown.
And Dawkins were out. And so you got 2 guys. The guy on the right side, I can't remember his name, I'll be honest with you. And I should remember his name because he played really well. He hasn't played right tackle since college. And so you're looking at a D that's got an unbelievably good D-line with TJ Watt. And so you're just thinking, who in the hell is going to block TJ Watt? You got 2 backup guys on the outside. So you're not even thinking about winning this game. You're thinking, my God, I hope Josh leaves this game on the team bus and not in an ambulance.
Right.
Because, it could have been bad. And for the first half, it was really, really tight. And then, boom, Joey Bosa just blew Rodgers up. Listen, I think I said in the chat last night, you got filled in when your own mask bloodies your nose.
Yeah, he had the bleeding nose after that. That was the turning point, I thought, because they were down 7-3 at that point. And like you said, Bosa strip sacks him. And then Christian Benford picked it up and ran it in for the TD, which changed the whole dynamic and they pulled out Rodgers while he went into the injury tent and got bandaged up. And
bring in Rudolph.
Yeah, he throws a pick, and
then on top of everything else, the Bills ran for a record. I think it was 247. Last I saw, it might have been more than that. But
I think it was
a record.
I think it was. It was.
Team.
Yeah, hold on here. It was 249, the most in Pittsburgh since 1975. And then Josh Allen threw for a TD and ran for his NFL record-breaking 76th TD of his career, breaking Cam Newton's record. Jalen Hurts is third at 63 career running touchdowns. So hats off to Josh Allen for being the all-time running TD leader in the NFL. So that's amazing. But what did you see at all, Shanker?
Well, at the end of the first half, I was kind of cursing and cussing and kicking myself for picking the Bills. Like, I thought, you know what? Bills can cover 3.5, no problem. Then at the half, I'm like, same old Bills. They just can't get anything going. But that second half, they just flipped the switch. TJ Watt got hurt a bit, which helped. And I don't think Rodgers should have even started. If you're not healthy enough, you're in a playoff race. Why are you starting a guy who's already crippled and has a bad arm? Why put him out there against Buffalo? He's just going to get, and he ended up getting hurt. But
I don't know if you guys.
I think Pittsburgh turning on their coach is a bigger story than anything. Like, when's the last time you heard Pittsburgh fans yelling, "Fire Tomlin"? The guy's a great coach.
Never missed the playoffs.
Exactly. If Tomlin says, "You know what? Screw you, I'm leaving," that franchise is going to hurt for a long time.
Yeah, Mike Tomlinson's not the problem. I blame the GM for like, all you got to do is look at George Pickens. George Pickens wasn't the problem with Pittsburgh. Look at what he's doing in Dallas. And you know, they've just made some questionable moves going after Aaron Rodgers. I thought was a head scratcher. Yeah. And what does Rodgers do? He calls out his wide receivers as being the problem. Now, he was right. The guys on the newscast, I can't remember who it was. I don't think it was Romo, but they were saying how Rodgers, right before a play, said, "I want you to go inside," and the wide receiver went outside. It would have been an easy 6 if the guy would have went inside, because the corners and safeties were nowhere to be found. And he called the guy out at the press conference. Like, you just can't be doing that. Like, even though he's right, you can't be calling out your teammates like that in the middle of a press conference. So, okay, moving along. The other notable games. Who had the Carolina Panthers on their bingo card, stunning the Rams 31-28? I'll wait. Bryce Young, 15 of 20 for 206, 3 tutties. 2 were on critical fourth down plays. Like, the guy was an absolute machine yesterday. The Texans beat the Colts 20-16. They're now entering the conversation of the playoff picture. They're still on the outside looking in. They're in the hunt, but they're now just one game behind the Colts and Jaguars. And my God, the Colts are fading fast. You've got Danny Jones with a broken fibula, and they ended up losing star corner Sauce Gardner for God knows how long. He was out with a calf injury, and they gave up multiple first rounders to go out and get him. So that's something that we have to keep an eye on. The other game on Friday, Chicago goes into Philly and beats down the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles 24-15. They're now the number 1 seed in the NFC, with the Rams loss to Carolina. Like, nobody saw that coming. Like, it's just unbelievable how things can change. What's the saying? Any given Sunday. So quickly going through the AFC Division Leaders with 4 weeks left in the regular season. The 4 division leaders, you've got Denver leading the West. They're number 1 seed. Number 2 seed is New England. They're leading the East at 10-2. Number 3 seed is Jacksonville. They're leading the South with 8-4. Number 4, Baltimore. They're doing everything in their power to not make the playoffs, but somehow they're still, with Pittsburgh's loss, they're still leading the North at 6-6. Then in the wild card, you've got the top 3 teams in the wild card, AFC Wild Card. The Chargers are number 1 at 8-4. Indy's number 2. They're fading fast. Losers of their last 2. They're at 8-4. And then you got the Bills with the number 3 wild card at 8-4. But in the hunt, you got Houston entering the picture. Like I said, they're number 4 at 7-5. Pittsburgh's still alive at 6-6. And then you got KC hanging by a thread at 6-6 as the number 6 seed. Over in the NFC, the division leaders, the number 1 seed now is Chicago at 9-3. They're leading the North. The Rams are number 2 at 9-3, leading the West. Philly is number 3, leading the East at 8-4. And then you got Tampa Bay leading the South at 7-5. Top 3 wild card in the NFC. Seattle's number 1 at 9-3. Darnold's got them humming along. Number 2 is Green Bay, 8-3-1 with a huge statement win on the American Thanksgiving Thursday in Detroit. And my Niners are number 3 at 9-4. All they did was go into Cleveland and give them a beat down. In the hunt, you've got number 4 Detroit at 7-5 as the number 4 seed. Number 5, Dallas is trying to make a run of it, but they're going to need some help ahead of them. They're at 6-5-1 in the 5th seed. And number 6, Carolina. I don't know if you guys saw that meme that I posted on our story. A guy that I just started following, he was hilarious. He had 2 buttons. One was of Tom Brady, and the other one was of J.J. McCarthy. And he goes, I don't know if they blindfold Bryce Young before every game on Sunday, and he can't see which button he's pushing because that's the way he goes out and plays, either as Tom Brady or as J.J. McCarthy. It was hilarious. So
the big games this Thursday. The big games this Thursday. Dallas at Detroit.
Yes.
Loser will be out of the Losers out of the playoffs.
Yeah, huge implications. Yeah, Dan Campbell should be kicking himself. Like, I love how he goes for it on 4th down, but he shot himself in the foot there on Sunday or on Thursday, losing at home on Thanksgiving to the Packers. That one stings.
He's 0-7. Razor, he's 0-7 in his last attempts. Stop. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Just stop.
Yeah. It's not working. Jared Goff is not Tom Brady, so you might want to just hold off for a little bit. So, okay, well, we got Clarko waiting in the wings. Let's have a little word from our sponsor, Nick Hishin, with Nick Hishin Mortgages, and we'll be right back with Jason Clark, Director of Hockey Operations.
Buzzin' with Clarko, a weekly roundup of the Stratford Warriors with Jason Clark, brought to you by Nick Hishin of Indy Mortgage, the independent mortgage company serving customers from coast to coast with access to well over 50 lending options available. Give Nick a call as he works for you, not the banks. FISRA license number 12403.
We got to bring Clarko in there. There we go.
Leave me in the wings.
Right?
Yeah.
I took Halser out, but I forgot to bring you in. So
that's probably better for the show if I'm in the background anyway.
Absolutely not. You know far more about the Warriors than he does. So
How are
you, Clarko?
I'm very good. Very good. How are you guys?
Good.
Good.
Were you able to catch any football there while you were down in Pelham, or were you just kind of focused on the game and maybe listening to a little bit on the way home?
You know what? I actually watched the game on Flow Hockey. I was in the comforts of the Bedford Drive Chalet here. So I was flipping around between in different periods watching a few of the games. But
nice.
Can you please tell me you're wearing a Streetsville Derby shirt tonight?
It is not a Derby shirt. It's my brother. My brother Steve was actually a huge Flyers fan growing up. Bobby Clark.
Yeah.
And I found a website many moons ago. That's where I got a lot of these jerseys. We ordered them over in China, and this jersey was like $19. And but it's like all sewn on, and I'm sure anyone that works in authentic jerseys would be able to tell it from a mile away. But when you look at all of these jerseys, like I got Brady's, I got this, I got it was to the point, Clarky, where I'm like, I can spend $100, and that was Canadian. So I spent $100 and I get 5 jerseys. Like I got the Gretzky Red Canada Cup, like and they're all sewn on letters and numbers. Like it's unbelievable. But
that's where I got all my from too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
good.
you know
Very
what?
good.
Those kids over in China got to eat too, right? So
Well, Halser will be happy you're representing the Flyers tonight.
Well, Halser, and he was probably wondering if it was like you were saying there with the Derbies, if it was Colin Honfeld that I had.
I would love if that said Derbies and diagonally across the front and Honfeld on the back. That you should run that down to the almond.
My old teammate Colin Honfeld from the
put it behind the glass.
So,
yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So, unfortunately, Mother Nature put a dent into Friday night's tilt with the Siskins, so that game was canceled. But you guys end up going down to Pelham Sunday afternoon for a big 2-1 win over the Panthers. You outshoot them 34-32. What did you see watching it on Flow?
Yeah, you know what? It was a tale of two games, two completely different games, really. I thought we really carried the play in the first period, and halfway through the second, we were dominating them in shots. And I think, partially give them a bit of credit. They stuck with it, or give them a lot of credit, really. But they were in Komoka Saturday night, and with the weather, I assume they got in very late and short turnaround. And so it was good to see us start quickly and kind of jump on them. And we only had the 1-0 lead, but I think the shots were 25-10 or something like that, about halfway through the second period. And then they got a power play, and they generated a lot of opportunity, and I think they built a lot of momentum off that power play. And then, like 4 or 5 minutes into the third period, shots were 29-27 them. So, the game just completely turned, and they were skating real well. And that's the first time I've seen them live this year. They skate real hard. They play a real physical, edgy game. Like if you look at the penalty minutes, they have 300 more penalty minutes than we do. Right, they're already over 500 minutes in PIMS, 25 games into the season. So they take healthy runs at everybody, and our guys got to have to keep their heads up, and everybody that plays them has to do the same thing. So we had a lot of opportunities on power play too. We just couldn't find it on a power play down there. But the first goal, really, really nice chip in around the D-man Wildfong to Slattery, and then Slattery, a real nice skilled play, drop past the Wildfong, and he's got that quick trigger, and bang, bang, that was in the net. And then Evan Arnold scored a goal just driving to the net, being in the right area, right? He was really quickly after he came off the bench, entered the zone, and was able to pick up a loose puck net front there and bang that one in for the game winner. And they scored a real nice power play goal. It was a cross seam play. If you see the highlights there, came from, if we call it east to west, and the player there caught it, and a real good shot over Bender's glove. So nice goal by them. And then, like I said, the game turned in the third period. I thought we had a real good push late, kind of in the last 6-7 minutes. And then Bender got called for kicking the net off, and they shot a puck in the net as well. So they disallowed the goal, but gave us a penalty. And so we played the last couple of minutes of the game 6-on-4. And the goal they did get was 5-on-3. So penalty-filled game. Not an overly dirty game or anything like that. There was just a lot of penalties. in the game. But, one thing from watching that, like we've talked about in the league, is these nets coming off. Obviously, they're a municipality that doesn't do the marsh pegs. And I'm telling you, like, you have to go back and watch it. But if it came off once, it came off 10 to 15 times yesterday during the game. Like, it was just every time there's a play around the net, the goalie going side to side. Now, whether they're doing it, I can't imagine they're doing it on purpose every time. But, bang, bang plays, the net's in the corner. Like, it's just – and then, when the teams play in other leagues that have the marsh pegs or other rinks, the net doesn't come off at all, or very rarely does it come off. So it's a huge difference in the game when the net continues to come off like that.
Well, working at the rinks for 30 years, I'll give everybody a quick synopsis. Every rink has the holes in the concrete. So it's not like as if any of these cities or towns that are choosing not to drill the holes and put the marsh pegs in don't have that option. So they do have that option. They're just, for whatever reason, choosing not to. If they don't go with drilling the holes and putting in the rubber pegs, then they have two other options. One is where they have these steel posts where they have one, it's like a triangle, it's like a one divot, and you poke that into the ice, or you heat it up and melt it into the ice to stabilize it. The other one is where you have three prongs. I don't like that one, because sometimes if the ice is too hard, if you try and get the three prongs into the ice, it'll just chip out, and you've got a real mess now at the post. So the only ones at the city of Stratford that we ever used, the Almond always has the nets drilled with the rubber pegs, obviously. But up at the Rotary Complex, it's kind of like it depends on it. I don't know exactly where the age group changes and they do drill, but at Dufferin, we never, ever would drill it unless it was like a special tournament or 18U playing. Then we would, drill them. But it's not hard. The holes are there. Just, get a DeWalt drill with one, I think it's 1 7/8 drill bit, and you're done. Like, it's not rocket
It's just
science.
so like there was no, in yesterday's game, if I'm Pelham, I'm pissed off they're not counting the goal. If you go back and you watch our goal, Wildfong's first goal, the net gets kicked off as well. But it's a shot from the slot, and the net gets kicked off.
Yeah,
it's a bang bang play. And quite similar to the goal that they call back for Pelham. They're playing 6-on-4, and if I'm correct, the puck just kind of comes to this guy, and he one-times it in as Bender's going side to side, and the net comes off. Obviously, they give him a penalty. But, in the game, like, it's not like what's going on, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is like every time there's a close player, there's a seam pass or a backdoor play, the net comes off. Like, guys know what they're doing. And
absolutely.
And I don't blame them one bit for it. It's part of the game, but it would just be so nice that, if we had a rule, or it was enforced that every center had to do it the same way, then it wouldn't be a question. But, I think back to the days when I was coaching in Stratford and up in Elmira, like some of those nights, a playoff game, the net would come off 10, 11 times every time there was a play around the net. Yeah. And, again, I'm not faulting the goaltenders who are doing it, because they know what they're doing. And if it gives them a bit of an edge, that's what everyone's doing. It's no different than a face-off, right? You get your skate in the right area, or you can slash a guy quickly. I mean, everyone's looking for an edge. So if it benefits the hockey club, then guys are going to do it. But it is frustrating watching a game or coaching in a game when the net continually comes off.
Is there any way?
You would think of this league, they would
go ahead, Schenker.
Do you think the way this league is, they'd make it mandatory? It is. But like, why not fine them then? Say, hey, you know what, Pelham, you're going to get fined until you do it.
Yeah, well, because I think the teams don't have any say in the municipalities, right? Like the team, like if Stratford didn't do it, let's say we played at the Rotary Complex. I could go to the city and say, hey, we need to drill the pegs here. And the city might tell me, we don't have the staff to do that on a game night because you got one guy working and he's running the Zamboni and then whipping out to throw the nets on. So that's where I think the breakdown is with our league. Our teams aren't owners of the buildings that they're in, and they don't really have the say. They can ask. And, it's gotten better. The majority of teams in the league now do it. There still is a handful of teams that don't do it, but I think they're tied to the municipality, and it's their decision whether they're going to do it or not, because we're ice rental people just like everybody else, right? So I think that's where the breakdown is. But it is a league rule that we're all supposed to have them. But like I said, we're tied to the municipality's rules.
Well, hopefully, with now your allegiance with the OHL, maybe they can put some pressure on it and, have a say involved in it, because like I said, it's not hard. You've already got a kid moving the net. It's not hard for the kid to drill the post. The only problem that you can possibly run into with the rubber pegs is when it gets cold, like in January and February, when it's -20 outside, sometimes they do freeze. And the kid's got to get him out before the Zamboni comes so that he doesn't cut him off. But in Stratford, what we used to do is we used to have the channel locks, and we would just put those on it, or the vice grips, and you would be able to get it out. But that is a realistic problem, because as the Zamboni goes over the hole, I remember at the old Maple Leaf Gardens watching the old boys there in the mid-'70s, late '70s. They'd have the Maple Leaf Garden sweaters on, and they'd have the turkey baster sucking out the water and, putting in the alcohol plugs and stuff. Well, obviously you're not going to have guys doing that,
quite the production.
Right. Exactly. So
overall, you know what, it was a good game. It was a good trip. I'm glad our guys came home with the 2 points, but Pelham's, they're going to be a tough out over there on the east side too. They play so physical. They got some skill. Their goaltending was real good yesterday as well. So there's no doubt that the Panthers are going to give team fits over there on that side. We don't have to see them again until, if we were to meet for it all, if we were both be able to make the Southern Cup, I mean, that's the next time we're going to see anybody in the East. So, good team. I'm glad we got the 2 points, and but quiet weekend for us with having Friday night canceled.
Good.
Or postponed.
One big upcoming game. You've got Wednesday, you're on the road. You guys go down to St. Thomas this week. And then Friday, you've got winless Sarnia in town. What are you telling the boys? Obviously, you're well aware of St. Thomas. What are you expecting when you go down there Wednesday?
Yeah, I think another real good game. I plan on heading down to watch that one live. We lost to them in a shootout, and then we beat them in overtime here, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. Just a team that has a ton of skill and reminds me, I think I've said it on the podcast, that they remind me of us last year a bit with all their youth and energy, right? They're just a no-quit hockey team. They're real well coached, and I would expect a really good hockey game Friday night there. I'm hoping that we can bring home the 2 points and then carry that into Friday night and, get another 2 points Friday night, hopefully against Sarnia.
Well, you would hope so. And then the goalie that you ended up letting go when you brought Bender in, sorry, what was his name?
Connor Davis.
He's playing for Sarnia, is he not?
Yeah, he is. So if he gets that game, that'll be, something he's been thinking about, and he's really going to want to stick it to us for sure. And I think it's just important for our guys to, play that we can play and play our game and not get caught up in any of the sideshow. And, there's no doubt he'll play well because he'll have that chip on his shoulder. But, I think that's a night that we need to concentrate and we need to put, 15 to 20 shots a period at him and just, be relentless and continue to come at him in waves and their team and just kind of overwhelm them if we can. So I think if we take them lightly, it's no different than any team in the league. I mean, Sarnia, I don't think they're going to go 0-50. They're going to win at some point. And we don't want it to be Friday night in Stratford. So,
No.
The message to our group will be continue to push the pace and, overwhelm them shift after shift and look for the 2 points.
Yeah, you're right. There's nothing worse than a scoring goalie coming back into the barn that let him go and having the night of his life. So,
yeah,
best of luck for that. Not looking too far down the road, the following week, Thursday, December 11th, you guys are at St. Mary's. The Battle of Highway 7 begins, the first of 4 games. So that'll be interesting. It'll be great. We got Chester in the background making arm movements, showing his muscles there. But no, that'll be good, especially with those guys. I don't know if we'll be able to fit Chester's head into the picture after that big win Friday night against previously undefeated Cambridge Redhawks. But just quickly, the power rankings, these are from last week, November 23rd. The new power rankings, as we always say, come out tomorrow, December 2nd. Number 1 was Cambridge. There's no change. Number 2, Elmira. Number 3, St. Catharines. They moved up 1. Chatham moves down, Chatham, they moved down. They're tied for number 3 with St. Catharines. You guys move up 1 to number 5, and Fort Erie moves up 3. They're on a bit of a heater right now. They're at number 6, and St. Mary's goes down 2 notches from 5 down to 7 with unfortunate losses in Listowel and Elmira. In the West, St. Mary's has 32 points, having played 23 games, and you guys have 31 points, having played 3 games less at 20. And you guys are still behind Chatham, even more so with Friday's game being canceled. You have 6 games in hand on Chatham, with them only being 12 points ahead. So best of luck, Clarko. And we look forward to hearing from Wednesday's St. Thomas and Friday's Sarnia games.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Was down at practice tonight. Group is healthy. Group looks well. And looking for another big week here, and then we can prepare but for stuff after that. But, that Western Division, I really think you can never get too far ahead like you mentioned there. We really got to be focused on Wednesday night here, and then after that's over, then we got to refocus for Friday. So we'll see what happens, and have a good week, gentlemen, and I will see you next Monday.
Excellent. All right. Excellent. Director of Hockey Operations, Jason Clark, for Buzzing with Clarko. Clarko, we'll see you next week.
You bet.
All right. We'll be right back with Chester's Perch, Chris Chessel, coming up.
You can't put a price on a good time. Chester's Perch, the Lincoln's Report, brought to you by the Boathouse Stratford, located at 30 York Street. Come see us down at the Avon River for pedal boats, kayaks, canoes, Juliet boat tours, and bike rentals. Enjoy great food and ice cream at the Riverside Patio Restaurant. Pet friendly and operated by the Her family since 1965.
Chester's in the house. Chris Chessel, St. Mary's Lincoln's Recap Insider. How are you, Chester?
Excellent. How are you, boys?
Good. Have you got the champagne smell off of you from last Friday night's win over Cambridge?
No. It's just a cold November game. Nothing special there at all.
I was debating about going over there, and I had a long day, and so I chose not to. But heck of a win. You guys take down the previously undefeated Cambridge Redhawks 9-1. Brogan Calhoun stops 34 of 35. And you called it 2 weeks ago that the Lynx would love to take down the previously undefeated Cambridge Redhawks. And I think that it was brought up in the group chat that you had said that they had made 2 or 3 roster changes, which was kind of a head scratcher. And, you don't know how much that played into it. We don't know the dynamics going on behind closed doors, but and then CTV, we hated to burst that bubble about them looking forward to breaking the record on home ice the following night. So what did you see on Friday at the PRC?
Well, yeah, all that stuff that kind of happened beforehand was just kind of just made it a little more entertaining, I think. But in all seriousness, Cambridge is a good hockey team. It wasn't their night, that's for sure. And they're going to be in that Eastern. They're going to go right to the end of the East there, whether it's them or St. Catharines coming out of that side. They got a deep, really good hockey team. So, Friday night things just got away from them. We came out kind of flat, actually. I thought the first 6-7 minutes we weren't great. Brogan played well, kept things, kept it 0-0 for as long as he could, and then kind of a storybook first goal for everybody in St. Mary's. Tough loss for Ryan Hodgkinson, losing his dad 2 weeks prior, and they had a nice ceremony before the game. They brought mom and his bigger brother Logan and sister Emma out on the ice, and they got Ryan over there, and they had a nice ceremony. And once they got those cobwebs off, first 6-7 minutes, who scores the first goal for the Lynx, right?
Yeah,
all
that
the stars aligned,
cool.
and Ryan got that first goal, and when he came over towards the bench, he pointed up to the heavens there, and I don't think there was a dry eye in the PRC for a few minutes there. I know the section where I sit, the parents and stuff are all right there, and it was quite the scene there for a few minutes. But you know what? We came right back and answered about 2.5 minutes later. Chase McQueen Spence put us up 2-0, and all of a sudden you're thinking, all right, up 2-0 on this team, and that puts Cambridge in a tough spot too. That in a situation they haven't had to deal with much this year.
First bit of adversity.
And we got through that first period at 2-0, which I thought, okay, great. But as we've seen many times this year, and Holly can attest to this, we never know what kind of team might come out the next period, right? So you're kind of sitting on the edge of your seat thinking, okay, what do we got here? We're up 2-0. These guys are going to come out flying. Bertuzzi's probably got them just bouncing off the wall in there. So let's see what we got. And you know what? And kudos to our boys. They came out in the second. They scored 4 unanswered, and they just kept coming in. It's just a fantastic period of hockey. Just any loose puck. We were winning the battles. We were getting pucks to the net, which is something we've kind of struggled with all year. And the puck was going in. And, again, that hasn't happened as much as we would like either. But just a fantastic period of hockey. And, the crowd was buzzing, and Cambridge all of a sudden found themselves down 6-0 after 2 periods. And you're thinking to yourself, my good Lord. And I think at that point, they're just, deer in the headlights there, maybe for a few minutes. And, they did come out and get a quick one in the third on the power play, which, gave them a bit of life. But the nice thing was we bounced right back and got 3 more to finish it off. And complete scoring, too. Like, Ryan had 2. Ethan Weir chipped in with 2. It's good to see him score a couple. He'd been about 10, 11 games without a goal. Really need him to score some big goals for us. And then after that, we had 5 or 6 different scorers, which was great to see.
Lacko again. He's got his 4th already. Just really, really balanced scoring. You had Weir, one of his goals were on the power play, and then it was super nice to read that Hodgkinson had been voted the GOHL Western Conference Performer of the Week for Week 12, where he had 2 goals, 2 assists, a game-winning goal, and a shorty. So shout out to Ryan Hodgkinson for everything that he's gone through and winning the Western Conference Performer of the Week for Week 12. Great job.
Yeah, absolutely. He all 4 games over the last 2 weeks, he's actually played really well, and he just stayed focused and does what he does best, right? He's puck possession. He's long. He's got a long stick. He's strong on the puck. He's got great hands, and he plays his game. He's very solid, right? So I also forgot to mention too, we had 5 power play goals on Friday night. And that's something Halls and I have talked about quite a bit on the show, is the power play has been predominantly not great. We've had a couple games where it's bounced back, but to see 5 against Cambridge on Friday night was fantastic as well.
Yeah. Halls, what did you see Friday night at the PRC?
Well, what I saw at the start, to Chess's point, it almost looked like a role reversal to me, where it was the home team kind of feeling out the road team. I think there was some respect that came with the swagger. I got there early, watched the warm up, and I believe you can learn a lot about a team the way they practice, the way they warm up, and they looked so good in warm up that everything was done with a purpose. Everything was done to game speed. Every draw was, everything was just done magnificently in the warm up, and you can just see that translate into the game of good habits. They play a similar game to St. Mary's, and Shanker was there for the game as well. And after those first 6 or 7 minutes, then they went, you know what? It's just a bunch of teenagers just like us. And boom, they just started playing. They got the forecheck on. And the one thing that I always say about this rink, people don't realize how quick they get on you. With that small center ice area, it does a couple of things. Number one, it makes the zone deeper. So you think you're out, but you still got 3 feet to go before the puck gets out. And until you play a period or two in that rink, it really does not quite to the point of the Waterloo rink adjustment, but it is a significant adjustment. And then once they got it going, that was by far their best effort, collectively for 60 minutes, I thought, so they look like last year. That's what I heard a lot on Friday night. They looked a lot like last year's team.
Nice. Yeah, Shanker, you ended up going over there as well. Normally you're with me down at the Almond, but what did you see with the Lincolns taking down the Red Hawks?
Well, I got there a little late, but watching the end of the first period, my comment to Halser was, I can't believe Cambridge is undefeated. And he came back at me and said, no, this is how good the Lincolns are. And all throughout the game, they kept Cambridge to the outside. They couldn't get on the inside. They couldn't do nothing. They were on them like flies on shit. And you know what? Every save Brody made, he saw. Like, there wasn't any screen shots on him. He made, I bet you, 5 shots he couldn't see. That line of Laco and Weir, they're impressive. Like, very impressive. And it's a good this can get St. Mary's humming now. They're dangerous.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is wake a sleeping bear. And with St. Mary's going 0 for 2 there last weekend against Listowel and Elmira, they were out for blood. And then you coincide that how everyone's all trying to play their best for their teammate who's just lost their father. You had all the ingredients for the game of their lives. And unfortunately for Cambridge, they just hit a team that was going through a lot of stuff and were on the wrong side of that. But you've got a lot of games. You got 3 games coming up this weekend, Chester. Thursday, you guys go to Sarnia. You're going to warm them up for Friday's visit to Stratford. And then Friday, you've got a home and away with the division nemesis Chatham Maroons. Friday, they're in St. Mary's, and then Sunday you guys go to Chatham. So what do you expect to see with this weekend?
Yeah, there's no rest for the wicked, right? So yeah, that Sarnia game, we have to be careful. And Clarkie mentioned it when he was speaking too. He's got to come out focused and take care of business, right? You don't want to be on the reverse side of the streak here. You know what I mean? You break one streak. You don't want to be the talking point of another streak. So, stay focused Thursday night. Come out, get those 2 points. And then, you got a great weekend of hockey against 2 of the top teams in Western Division Finals rematch from last year. I think the boys have to play like they did on the weekend against Cambridge. They have to play like they did the week earlier against Elmira. They play those kind of hockey games. Those Chatham games will be great hockey games, right? So, they're going to be good, right? And, it doesn't get any easier because you got, out of our next 7, we play Chatham 3 times and Stratford once. So, you throw in a St. Thomas game in there too. And my goodness, this is why when I was making predictions 2 weeks ago, I looked at strength of schedule from Cambridge compared to teams in the West, and again, I have nothing against Cambridge, and I think they're a really good hockey team. They're going to be there at the end, but just from what I saw in the last 3 months, it was like, well, I need to see something. I need to see a game against Chatham, London, Stratford, Elmira. How Cambridge do against those teams? We don't know.
Right.
So for me, it was like, I can't see us losing on home ice to Cambridge, whether they're 55-0 or 20-10, it doesn't matter. Coming into St. Mary's on a Friday night to try and win is not going to be easy, especially when we play the way we're supposed to play. So yeah, it's going to be a tough go here the rest of the month for sure. And then the first game of January, it's Chatham again. So, it's going to be fun. There's going to be no shortage of good hockey. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, just quickly, the power rankings for up until November 23rd. We got the new power rankings coming out tomorrow, December 2nd. Cambridge is at number 1, still no change. Myra, number 2, no change. St. Catharines is at 3. They go up 1 spot. And Chatham is tied with them for number 3. Then Stratford's at number 5. They take over your spot. At number 5, they move up 1. Fort Erie, they enter the top 6. They're at number 6, moving up 3 spots. And then you guys, unfortunately, moved down from 5 to 7 with losses to Listowel and Elmira. And then points-wise, you guys are 1 point ahead of Stratford. You guys have 32 points in 23 games, and they have 31 points in 3 less games, playing 20 games. So lots of exciting things going on this weekend. You hit the nail on the head. With Davis coming to town on Friday, Clarkey said that they've got to be all hands on deck. You've got a scoring goalie that they released for Bender, and you guys got to be careful too when you go down there Thursday night. So best of luck with Thursday, Friday, and Sunday's games, and we look forward to you guys getting through those, and then the Battle of Highway 7 beginning there on Thursday, December 11th.
Yeah, I think both teams, Stratford and St. Mary's, have a good weekend ahead of them here, and we'll see where we're at come next Monday night when we get together. And we have lots to talk about for before Thursday's game. Looking forward to it.
All right. There's Chris Chessel from Chester's Perch. Thanks again, Chester. We look forward to hearing everything next week. All right, we're going to tee up Dave Graff. He's coming in with Chew on That.
Chew on That with Graffer. Brought to you by Work Pub and Eatery. Get a taste of tradition and charm in our family-run pub. From hearty dishes to cold drinks, we've got everything to make your visit memorable. Located at 75 Wellington Street, Stratford.
We got Chris Kringle in the house.
Ho, ho. How's it going?
Good, Santa. How are you?
Good.
You look
we need
like
to whip we need to whip some snowballs at you by the looks of it.
That's
you
right.
Look like the kid that they dragged out of the stands to play Santa there in '68 at the Eagles game. So
That's right. Yeah. I figured 2 reasons I dress like this tonight, fellas. It's December, coming into the holiday season. Merry Christmas to everybody. Merry Christmas to the fellas at work. Thanks again for the sponsorship. Great job. And to Razor's point, I thought, what a better time, no time better than now to talk about the Philly Eagles and their treatment of fans and their booing of their football team in particular.
Well, we got you and I with the backgrounds of Philly fans. Your guys are throwing snowballs at the Eagles game. And in mine, we've got the infamous fight with Ty Domi and what's his name? I forget his name. Chris Falcone.
Yes.
Hilarious.
The penalty box scrap. Yeah. Hey, only the fans of Philly, right, guys? I mean, what better fans to have a little rant about than the Philadelphia
Absolutely. Well, I'll let you go
fans.
because I was doing some research and I found some interesting things. But tell us why you wanted to talk about the Philly fans and their passion.
Well, you brought it up, Ray, in the 1968 game when they actually pelted Santa with snowballs in the midst of a 2-11 season at the time. I think it was just middle of December by that point, so the season was winding down. They were going through a rough patch. But, I want to flip it 180 here and talk about, the current Eagles behavior. And, here's the deal. Everything is about what have you done for me lately. I think we all get that. We understand that. But first and foremost, Super Bowl last February, to me, is still fucking lately.
Right. Defending Super Bowl champions.
Yes. I really struggle with fans booing, throwing snowballs, throwing batteries apparently at Nick Sirianni. And I think the Eagles have won despite Nick Sirianni, not because of him. He showed it again last week against the Bears down 15, and he got the touchdown and went for 2 on the first touchdown instead of kicking the point, getting within the 1 score. You got a young up and coming team on the road as an underdog. Put the scare in them. Put the scare of death in them. Well, you're only up 1 score now. You were just up 15 points. He just psychologically gave the game away right there. I'm not a Nick Sirianni fan, but he doesn't deserve to have batteries thrown at him.
Right.
Especially when you won a Super Bowl 8-9 months ago. That's just ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, they're still 8-4. They're still in the mix. Jalen Hurts, all he's done is gone to 2 Super Bowls in the last 3 years. And he's struggling right now. Yes. And yes, he's struggling, but how many Super Bowls has Josh Allen won? How many Super Bowls has Lamar Jackson won? He's maybe not as talented and not as publicized and as held up on a pedestal as high as those guys, but he's been to 2 bowls and won 1. And he's I think they're 8-4 this year, still leading their division.
Yeah.
I mean, the bottom hasn't fallen out. You flip to the Bills, and some of us are Bills fans. They're 8-4, and we think it's, well, at least myself, it's 90% smoke and mirrors. And there's a team that's unfortunately never won anything. But we got to stand by them, and we got to hope they right the ship, get healthy, get the defense healthy, and get back. But the Eagles, 31 playoff appearances in their lifetime, 16 division titles, 13-10 in the last 20 years in the playoffs, with 4 Super Bowl appearances, 2 championships in the last 8 years. Nicky Foles with the Statue of Liberty play to beat the Pats back in 18. And as far as what you've done for you lately, yes, they're struggling. They're struggling to get the ball to their wideouts. They're struggling to win games right now, but they're 8-4, and they're still in it. I just think Eagle fans look in the mirror, flip it. Look at the positive side of it. Stop being assholes. Stop throwing snowballs. Stop booing. Stop leaving in the third quarter when you're down. I wish they would have come back, and Sirianni wouldn't have gone for 2 when he did, and they would have come back and tied that ball game possibly against Chicago.
Yeah.
Just stop. Appreciate what you got is all I'm getting at. My opinion is, we all get that. It's what have you done for me lately? But they're still an 8-4 team, and they can still get in the playoffs and still do some damage. There's lots of time for them to get it right, and you know what? That's as far as the Philly fans goes. Enough. So start supporting your ball club.
Well, I felt bad. I was just reading before we came on air. If you guys go online, the Eagles fans are so crazy. They're mad they're still reeling from the loss Friday at home to the Bears. Yeah. And a bunch of idiots went over to the offensive coordinator's house, and they were throwing rocks at his house. And somebody was filming it, and it's on social media. Here's the poor guy. He's got his Christmas lights up, and you got a bunch of knuckleheads throwing rocks at his house. But people think that Toronto are hard on the Maple Leafs. Yeah. And that's what ran Mitch Marner out of town. Yeah. And, you hear about Austin Matthews and what's going on, and should they fire Berube? Have they quit playing on him? Folks, you think playing in Toronto's tough, and you hit the nail on the head, Graffer. These guys booed Santa Claus in '68. They threw snowballs at him. And I was looking at the guys that they boo. They're just passionate fans. They're no dummies. They're just very, very passionate. And then you got some knuckleheads that ruin it for everyone. But Jalen Hurts, he's getting booed. Current Super Bowl MVP, from the Philadelphia Eagles. Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber from the Phillies. The Phillies have lost 5 of 6 postseason games at home, and they got knocked out again by the Dodgers. They're, getting roasted over the coals in the sports pages. Ben Simmons playing for the 76ers. He got booed out of town, and they traded him to the Nets. And then Ilya Brizgalov, Breezy, they booed him out. He had a 9-year, $51 million contract, and the guy was a flake. And they booed him out of the Spectrum, or whatever the arena is called now. But the batteries thrown at Sirianni and Cardinal outfielder J.D. Drew when he refused to sign with the Phillies. And then with my picture, you've got the guy who it was actually, if you look at the video on YouTube, the two guys in the white in the Flyers jerseys were mouthing off Domi, and then Domi squirted water on Chris Falcone, and he ended up losing it. And then when he was reaching over the glass and the glass broke and he got in there, him and Domi get at it. He actually sued Ty Domi, and Domi got so sick and tired of the two lawyers for Falcone and Domi's lawyer going back and forth. He actually picked up the phone and called the guy's cell phone against the advice of his lawyer, and invited Falcone to Toronto for an all expenses paid. The Flyers were in town, and him and Falcone are buddies now. Crazy story. So
see, something good comes out of all the booing and all the right? That's good. Listen, you go back to, there's the upper echelon teams as far as Super Bowls go. There's the Pats, there's the Niners, there's the Steelers, there's the Cowboys. Philly is right on that next level as far as appearances and a couple titles, and appreciate what you got. Stop the fucking booing. Bring this team back to where help bring the team back to where they need to be, because they can still get there. So there's still time.
Yeah.
And I don't want to stop throwing snowballs at guys like me in the stands, for crying out loud. It's getting old.
Well, I was reading how that all happened. I guess they were mad. You hit the nail on the head when you said that they were having a terrible season in '68. They were like 2-12, and they wanted to draft O.J. Simpson. And the team all of a sudden started winning useless games to take them out of the number 1 pick. And then that coincided with it was a snowy day, and the original Santa couldn't make it to the stadium. And so the Eagles grabbed a skinny kid out of the stands, and they talked him into dressing up as Santa. And the fans were beside themselves with everything going on about OJ and, the weather, and their team's terrible. And this guy his beard was crooked, I guess. And they said that they just took out their frustration on this poor kid, half-assed dressed as Santa. So it was a hilarious story as I was reading it. But
You're good.
Unbelievable. So.
Well, they can have a Rolly or 54-year-old if they need somebody to do it this year. So just give me a call.
Graffer will be there. So But all right, my friend. Love it as always. And one quick side note. Graffer's texting me saying, "Hey, Razor, I'm not much on social media, but my buddies are asking me if I took the week off last week because I was a little bit late getting out the socials with Graffer on it. I played poker all day Thursday watching football with my football buddies, so I was a day behind, but we got them all out, and everyone was happy again that we got Graffer's reels out on Saturday. So good stuff, my friend.
Thanks, fellas.
All right, Dave Graff.
See
you, fellas. Be good.
Dave Graff from Chew on That. We're going to have some stuff with our sponsors, and then we'll have the last words.
Ho, 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 boy.
Railside Organics, Stratford's first and only Indigenous-owned and operated organic dispensary, located at 29 Monteith Avenue, serving those in need with holistic remedies. Come say hi to Curly and his staff and see why everyone is recommending Railside Organics. Call Bick Heating and Cooling for all your heating, cooling, and plumbing needs. Proud Rude Pro partner. BickHeatCool.com or 226-921-4848. Your home team specialists. Taking care of Stratford and area since 2013. Vredeveld Painting, servicing Stratford and surrounding area. With over 20 years of experience to help you with all your painting and decorating needs, on time and on budget.
All right, we're back. Last words. Schenker, what do you have to say?
Well, I remember a couple of weeks ago we were talking about the top 5 surprising teams, and I said, Washington, Toronto are they're tied for my surprising team. Well, Washington, they're 7-3 in their last 10. And I remember saying the Leafs are going on a road trip. It's good to get away from home, to get the fans off their back. Well, now they're 2 of 3. So let's see what happens here.
Yeah, I think they're in Carolina Wednesday, and then they're down in Florida. So yeah, getting away is the best thing, and then it won't hurt either to be having flip-flops on. I saw it was like 82 or 85 degrees there in Tampa on Sunday when the Bucks were playing. So good stuff. Halser, final say.
I'm looking forward to home games between the Maroons and the Lincolns this weekend. Western Conference Final rematch. Even though they lost to Elmira, they really bounced back from that Listowel game and played really well. And then, of course, played the best game of the year against Cambridge. So I'm looking for them to continue that. Should be 2 really good games this weekend there.
Yeah.
Speaking of Elmira, they lost to Brantford.
Yeah.
So anything can happen.
Anything can happen, right? Whether it's pro or amateur with teenage kids. So that's why they play the game. Now that'll be good. That definitely, if football wasn't on, if that was like in February or March, I would definitely consider going down to Chatham to watch that game. But yeah, that'll be exciting. And then I really want to see what happens Friday night there with the Davis kid coming back to town. I want to see how. I hope they play him. There's no guarantee that they're going to throw him in, but they're playing with the house money. They haven't won all year. Why wouldn't you play that kid and hope that he stands on his head? So that'll be interesting to see that. Hopefully it's not a blowout game. I'd rather be watching Chatham and St. Mary's if it's going to be a blowout game. So. But good stuff, boys. We're getting lots of comments, lots of hits on our socials. Can't thank people enough for taking time. I've even had guys like Corey Knight texting me saying, "What the hell are you doing, sewering me about trades that I made in fantasy football?" So I had to go and find that. I said, "You better rethink your sources because they're telling you bullshit." So I ended up finding what I actually did say and sent it to him. So all good there. He was laughing and we had a good chuckle over it. So people are listening. That's humbling that people are taking time out of their busy days to listen to 6 guys, soon to be 7, talk about 3 sports that we all love. So thank you for all of you for tuning in. For Ian Schenk and Brian Hawley, I'm Gary Ray. Thanks so much for tuning in to episode 9 of Unmuzzled Sports Podcasts. Peace.